Time for Focus. Today we have a report from French TV channel France 2 on women fighting against gender segregation in the suburbs of some of France's biggest cities. You'll see that there are apparent no-go zones for women, like cafes frequented mostly by Muslim men. This report causing a stir in a country where attitudes to immigration have hardened and a string of terrorist attacks has raised identity questions.
Cafe terraces, busy streets, familiar scenes, but something's missing from the picture. As if airbrushed out, there are no women. In some of the outskirts of Paris, men have taken over public spaces, and women are putting up with it. Nadia Ramadna and Aziza Saya are two activists from the Mothers Brigade. They are fighting for women's rights in their Paris suburb. To demonstrate the kind of reaction they get from men, they visit a local cafe with a hidden camera. Before they even get inside, their presence seems to disturb the other clients. There are only men in here, and they're not very welcoming.
Pourquoi? C'est pas grave, on vit dans un monde où il y a des hommes et des femmes. Ça vous dérange, vous?
Moi, c'est pour vous.
Non, pour moi. Là, je suis...
The bar owner doesn't want to talk. The other customers, meanwhile, are uncomfortable.
Mais je m'en fous, on va se faire discrète, petite, dans un coin.
Il n'y a que des mecs dans ce café.
Et comment c'est normal qu'il n'y a que des mecs? Imagine que tu veux prendre un café avec une cousine, une amie, ta femme. Non, normal.
Ma cousine, elle reste chez elle.
Ta cousine, elle reste chez elle. Ah bon?
Elle fait ce qu'elle veut, mais pas avec moi. Ben voilà, dans ce café, il n'y a pas de mixité.
Est-ce que c'est normal?
On est à Sevran, on n'est pas à Paris.
Même à Sevran, c'est la France.
T'es dans le 93.
Et alors, le 80... Et alors?
À Paris, c'est des mentalités différentes. C'est comme au bled.
For a woman, going into a bar here is breaking a taboo.
Tu fais ça en Arabie Saoudite, tu dis ouais. Mais ça, on est en France. On est en train de dire « Ah, mais tu te rends compte, il y a des femmes quand même qui ont été dans un café. »
So why are men rejecting women? It's a question of tradition, of culture, but also of religion, according to these two activists.
En 2005, quand il y a eu
In 2005, during the riots in the suburbs, the authorities relied on the so-called Big Brothers to calm down the younger ones. But by calling on the Big Brothers, it meant they had already excluded women, mothers. They weren't appealing to the parents, which in the end would have been more legitimate. So we ended up giving men the spaces, the areas, I won't say they dominate, but that they control at least.
Their brand of Islam is a big mix of everything. It looks like the penal code now. Don't do this or that. This is forbidden, that is forbidden. Everything's forbidden. And yet we're in France.
As we talk, a car slows down next to us. A way of intimidating these women that's become all too regular. They prefer to end the interview. Meanwhile, in this suburb of Lyon, women seem resigned to the situation. This kindergarten assistant does everything she can not to be noticed.
We wear dark clothes, trousers, no skirts, no obvious makeup. Red lipstick is out of the question. We erase ourselves, try to be the most discreet possible.
Why?
Because we're scared, simple as that.
Here in Rillieux-la-Pape, unemployment is at 20%. Shops are closed. Young men have the run of the area, and few women are in the streets. Our camera is not welcome. But some women have decided to fight back, organising regular marches. Residents of the area, of every political stripe, they want to take back their space and make themselves known. In cafes like this one.
We need to go back to the idea of camaraderie, because it's important in a town. It's important to mix, that there aren't places we have to tiptoe past. Everyone should be comfortable, and you should bring your wives too.
On the spot, the cafe owner tries to defend himself.
I accept all customers. I've got no problem with women or men or anyone.
And yet, no women come here. The march organisers' priority is to convince local Muslim women to join in.
Mais notre but, un petit peu, nous,
c'est de mélanger.
Voilà, ce qu'on aimerait,
Oui, mais après, il y a les convictions religieuses qui font que la femme, elle peut pas trop se mélanger. Enfin, elle peut pas du tout, même il n'y a pas de mixité en fait.
But it's also difficult to talk freely under the watchful eye of some local men.
En plus, on parle, ils sont pas contents parce qu'ils nous regardent de travers.
Voyez où votre fille boire un café là. Elle a 17 ans.
Some women just don't see the point of the march.
Mais moi, je ressens pas le besoin, comme vous disiez, madame. Vous avez parlé de bistrot. Il faut aller dans les bistrots. Moi, je me ressens pas le besoin d'aller dans les bistrots.
When the women decide to attempt another cafe,
Vous pouvez faire partir, hein?
the men would rather leave the place. Yet again, not everybody seems convinced by the march.
There aren't many Muslim women with us. They like the idea but still don't join us.
Why not?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. No, I don't know.
The women in Rue-le-la-Pape are not alone. Marches like theirs are happening in places all over France. A fight to take back public spaces that has only just begun.
Joining me now from Oser le Féminisme is Céline Pic. Oser le Féminisme translates roughly as Dare to be a Feminist. Hello, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.
So, first of all, what's your reaction to this report? Were you shocked, were you surprised to see that women are excluded or certainly not welcome in certain parts of France?
First, I want to thank you, all these women who fight in this suburbs against discrimination and special segregation is just not acceptable. And thanks for their courage to fight them. But unfortunately, the special segregation is not only occurring in these neighborhoods, and I think that sexist and discrimination in transport or in the streets are widely happening in France. And
but there are two separate issues: sexism, the fact that in France many women, I think, could say that they've been the victims of sexist attitudes. But then in this particular case, what we're seeing, it would appear, are Muslim men specifically saying to other women, regardless of their religion, that they're not welcome. Does that surprise you that it's happening here in France? I mean, sexism in France might not be all that surprising, but the fact that women are being excluded from public places in France, is that not quite shocking?
Of course, but it exists in all kinds of places in our country, and not only. First of all, the question of religion. The religion, but all the religions are an efficient way to oppress women, because they told them to stay at home, to take care of the children. It's true, but if I can make a comparison, that if you can listen to the what's going on in the parliament, it was not a long time ago that a Tumblr of a parliamentary assistant have been launched, and the sexist behaviors in the cafe of the parliament is almost as shocking as what's happening in these suburbs. So I'm completely okay to thank you all the women who fight against this discrimination in the suburbs, but on the same time, I would like to focus at the opportunistic feminism who occurs in France when people who never fight for women's rights are now just talking about women's rights when we are talking about the Muslim community. This is why I find this.
Do you find it opportunistic and not a positive sign?
No, opportunistic feminism. I can cite, for example, Marine Le Pen, who has been constantly against women's rights by his position on a lot of subjects. Is citing Simone de Beauvoir a few months ago. But she has never done anything for women's rights. So what is it for me? It's a double standard between this.
So even though she herself is a woman and she's going to be a presidential candidate, you don't think that that's progress in itself because she doesn't actually advocate for women?
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I mean. And some conservative right-wing politicians are just talking about women's rights when it is when we talk about the Muslim community. I do not say that there are not problems in the Muslim community, but this is the same conservative guys who was whistled minister in the French parliament because she was wearing a dress.
Whistled, yes.
Cécile Duflot. She was a minister. She was doing a speech in front of the parliament, and men, the same men who now denounce the discrimination of women in public space or whistling a minister in when she's doing a speech in the parliament. This is shocking.
French society, French politicians even still have a long way to go then when it comes to
this is what I call the double standard feminism. So we in Osez le Féminisme fight against all discrimination with no hierarchy, and we'd like to focus that this discrimination exists not only this neighborhood in the popular neighborhoods as it has been showed in this report. This is the reality, yes, but it exists everywhere for every woman. I think last year we launched a campaign whose name was Take Back the Metro, and a study showed that 100% of women in France has been sexually harassed in the transport in the Parisian metro. This is the reality.
Stark reality indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Céline Pic, for coming in from Osez le Féminisme. Thank you for watching. I'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned to France 24.